Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world obsessed with perfection. Social media filters, corporate metrics, and societal expectations tell us that success means having it all together, flawlessly. But let's be honest, perfection is a mirage. The closer you think you get to it, the further it moves away. The real question is, what drives you? Is it the fear of being wrong or the desire to make a difference? Purpose is the fuel that propels us forward, while perfection is the weight that holds us back. Those who wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect skills often wait forever. But those who pursue purpose, act, learn, and grow, even when things aren't perfect. The greatest leaders, the most impactful innovators, the people who truly changed the world, were they perfect? No. But they had something far more powerful, a deep sense of purpose. Steve Jobs didn't build Apple by striving for a flawless process. He obsessed over a mission. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't inspire millions by delivering a perfect speech. He ignited a movement. The people who leave a mark on history are those who prioritize why they do what they do over how perfectly they do it. Perfection is an illusion, but purpose is real. Perfection seeks validation. Purpose seeks meaning. Perfection plays it safe, purpose takes risks. Perfection is a concept that has been deeply ingrained in our society. From a young age, we are taught to color inside the lines, to avoid mistakes, and to seek flawless execution in everything we do. The problem, however, is that perfection is an illusion, an unattainable standard that keeps moving the closer we get to it. While the pursuit of excellence can be admirable, the obsession with perfection often leads to frustration, procrastination, and inaction. The danger of chasing perfection is that it creates a mindset of constant inadequacy. No matter how much we accomplish, there is always something that could have been better. This way of thinking traps people in a cycle of self-doubt where they hesitate to take action because they are afraid of not being good enough. It convinces them that they need more time, more skills, or more resources before they can begin. But the truth is, nothing great was ever achieved by waiting for the perfect moment. Some of the most successful individuals in history, they did not achieve greatness because they were perfect. They succeeded because they pursued their purpose despite imperfections. Thomas Edison, for example, failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. If he had been consumed by the idea of perfection, he might have given up long before reaching success. His purpose to create something that would change the world was more important than avoiding failure. Perfectionism also limits creativity and innovation. When people are afraid of making mistakes, they play it safe. They follow established patterns instead of exploring new possibilities. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in science, technology, and art came from people who dared to experiment, take risks, and embrace failure as part of the process. If every artist waited until their work was flawless, the world would have far fewer masterpieces. If every entrepreneur hesitated until their business plan was perfect, many groundbreaking companies would have never been built. Purpose, on the other hand, drives progress. When people focus on their purpose rather than trying to be perfect, they allow themselves to take action, learn from their mistakes, and grow. They become more resilient because they understand that setbacks are part of the journey. Instead of seeing failure as a reflection of their worth, they see it as an opportunity to improve. The most impactful leaders and creators are not the ones who strive for flawlessness. They are the ones who move forward with conviction. They recognize that done is better than perfect, that progress matters more than perfection, and that impact is greater than image. By shifting the focus from perfection to purpose, they free themselves from the fear of failure and step into a mindset of continuous learning and development. Perfection is an illusion, but purpose is real. Those who chase perfection may never feel satisfied, but those who pursue purpose will always find meaning in their journey. People are driven by purpose. They develop a level of resilience that perfectionism can never provide. Purpose gives meaning to challenges, turning obstacles into stepping stones rather than roadblocks. It allows individuals to push forward even when things don't go according to plan, because they are anchored by something greater than immediate success or failure. Unlike perfection, which demands flawless execution, Purpose embraces the messy, unpredictable nature of growth. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, and it is fueled by a deep sense of purpose. When people are connected to a meaningful mission, they are more likely to persevere through difficulties. They don't give up when things become difficult because their motivation extends beyond external validation or short-term results. Instead, they see failures as necessary experiences that contribute to their greater vision. Athletes who train for years, enduring losses, injuries, and countless hours of practice. They do not persist because they expect to perform perfectly every time. They persist because they are driven by a purpose, whether it is to win a championship, inspire others, or achieve personal growth. This sense of purpose gives them the mental toughness to keep going even when faced with adversity. Perfectionism often weakens resilience. When people chase perfection, they fear mistakes and avoid risks, making them more likely to quit when things don't go as planned. They see setbacks as failures rather than as opportunities for growth. This mindset can be paralyzing because it creates an all-or-nothing approach to life. Either something is perfect or it is a failure. Such thinking leaves little room for learning, adapting, and improving. History is full of examples of individuals who overcame adversity because they were fueled by purpose. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but never abandoned his vision of a free and equal South Africa. If he had been focused on achieving a perfect plan with no challenges along the way, he might have lost hope. Instead, his purpose gave him the resilience to endure and continue working toward change. Businesses and organizations also thrive when they are built on purpose rather than perfection. A company that values innovation and impact over flawless execution is more adaptable in the face of change. When leaders encourage employees to experiment and learn from failures, they create an environment where resilience is natural. Some of the most successful businesses today, like Apple, Amazon, and Tesla, embrace a culture of iteration, learning from mistakes, and improving over time. Purpose is what keeps people moving forward, even in the face of difficulties. It reminds them why they started in the first place, helping them overcome fear, doubt, and external pressure. Unlike perfection, which can lead to fear-driven stagnation, purpose fuels resilience by making challenges feel meaningful rather than discouraging. When people choose to focus on their deeper why, rather than obsessing over getting everything exactly right, they become unstoppable in their pursuit of progress and impact. Perfectionism is often mistaken for ambition or high standards, but at its core, it is rooted in fear. It is the fear of failure, judgment, and inadequacy disguised as the pursuit of excellence. People who chase perfection are not always striving to be their best. They're often trying to avoid making mistakes or being perceived as less than capable. This fear-driven mindset can be paralyzing, preventing individuals from taking risks, trying new things, or stepping outside their comfort zones. Fear dictates decisions. Growth becomes impossible. A person who is afraid of making mistakes will avoid challenges that could lead to personal or professional development. Instead of embracing opportunities for learning, they hesitate, waiting for the perfect moment, which rarely comes. Fear convinces them that unless they can guarantee a flawless outcome, they shouldn't even try. This leads to stagnation, procrastination, and missed opportunities. This plays out in creative fields. Writers who fear criticism may never publish their work. Artists who want every detail to be perfect may never complete a painting. Entrepreneurs who hesitate until their business plan is flawless may never launch their ideas. Perfectionism does not push people forward, it holds them back. It keeps them stuck in a loop of endless preparation without execution. Purpose liberates people from this fear. When individuals are driven by a strong sense of meaning, they become more willing to take risks, make mistakes, and learn along the way. They shift their focus from trying to appear perfect to actually making an impact. Purpose encourages action because it recognizes that progress matters more than flawlessness. Leaders who prioritize purpose over perfection are more effective because they are not afraid to show vulnerability. They admit when they make mistakes, they adapt when things don't go as planned, and they inspire others through their authenticity. People are drawn to leaders who are real, not those who try to maintain an illusion of perfection. Authenticity builds trust, while perfectionism creates distance. A clear example of this is seen in the world of innovation. Some of the most groundbreaking inventions and ideas came from people who were not afraid to fail. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." If he had been afraid of imperfection, he might have stopped experimenting long before creating the light bulb. His purpose, to bring light into people's homes, was stronger than his fear of making mistakes. Perfection is an impossible standard that keeps people trapped in fear, while purpose gives them the courage to move forward despite uncertainty. When individuals shift their mindset from avoiding mistakes to embracing growth, they unlock their true potential. They stop chasing an illusion and start creating real change. Purpose gives people the freedom to act, to fail, and to rise again because they understand that impact, not perfection, is what truly matters. Many people chase perfection, believing it will lead to success, but in reality, it often results in stagnation. The pursuit of perfection focuses on the final outcome, demanding flawlessness at every stage. This mindset creates pressure, fuels self-doubt, and discourages action. In contrast, prioritizing progress allows for continuous learning, improvement, and innovation. Those who embrace progress understand that growth is a journey, not a destination, and that small, consistent steps forward are more valuable than waiting for the perfect moment. One of the biggest dangers of perfectionism is that it leads to procrastination. When people believe that something must be flawless before it can be shared or completed, they often delay taking action. They keep refining, editing, and second-guessing themselves instead of moving forward. This prevents them from gaining real-world experience and feedback, which are essential for growth. A person who wants to start a business but keeps waiting for the perfect business plan may never actually launch. A writer who endlessly revises their first chapter instead of finishing the book may never publish. Progress happens when people take imperfect action and refine their approach along the way. Successful innovators and leaders understand this concept well. The technology industry is a great example. Companies like Apple, Google, and Tesla do not wait for perfection before releasing their products. They launch with a strong foundation, gather feedback, and continuously improve. The first iPhone was not perfect, but it revolutionized the smartphone industry because Apple focused on progress. Each new version introduced better features based on real-world usage rather than an unrealistic demand for flawlessness from the start. Progress over perfection also fosters resilience. When people accept that mistakes and setbacks are part of the process, they become more adaptable and willing to take risks. Perfectionism, on the other hand, creates a fear of failure that can prevent people from even trying. Many great achievements in history were the result of trial and error. Thomas Edison made thousands of attempts before inventing the light bulb. If he had been focused on achieving perfection immediately, he might have given up early in the process. This mindset shift is also crucial in personal development. People who focus on progress rather than perfection in areas like fitness, learning, or skill building are more likely to succeed. Someone who wants to get in shape but expects immediate results may get discouraged and quit. However, those who measure progress, whether it's lifting heavier weights, running a little farther, or simply showing up consistently, are more likely to stay motivated and achieve long-term success. Perfection is an illusion that keeps people stuck, while progress is what leads to meaningful achievements. The goal should not be to avoid all mistakes, but to keep moving forward despite them. Progress allows for adaptability, innovation, and real-world learning, while perfectionism creates unnecessary pressure and fear. Those who embrace progress over perfection unlock their true potential and create lasting impact. One imperfect step at a time. Many people spend their lives chasing perfection, believing that if they achieve a flawless image, they will finally be accepted, respected, or loved. This need for external validation drives them to seek approval from others rather than staying true to themselves. But in the process, they often lose sight of what truly matters: authenticity. Instead of living in alignment with their values, they mold themselves to fit an ideal that is impossible to sustain. The pursuit of approval is exhausting and unfulfilling, whereas authenticity brings freedom, confidence, and real connection. Perfectionism is often rooted in the fear of judgment. People want to be seen as competent, talented, and successful, so they hide their flaws and imperfections. Social media has amplified this tendency, with countless individuals curating an image of perfection, flawless photos, impressive achievements, and a life that seems effortlessly put together. But this is an illusion. Behind the filters and polished appearances, everyone struggles, everyone fails, and no one is perfect. Yet because perfection is so glorified, many people feel pressured to uphold an unrealistic standard rather than embracing their true selves. Authenticity is about being real, vulnerable, and honest. It means showing up as you are without fear of judgment or the need for approval. People are naturally drawn to those who are genuine because authenticity fosters trust. When someone is open about their struggles, imperfections, and personal growth, others can relate to them on a deeper level. This is why some of the most influential leaders, speakers, and creators are not those who appear perfect, but those who share their real experiences, both their successes and failures. Authenticity is far more powerful than perfection. A leader who admits mistakes, learns from them, and remains true to their values earns the respect of their team. In contrast, a leader who tries to maintain an image of perfection creates distance, making it harder for people to connect with them. Employees and followers don't want a leader who appears flawless. They want someone who understands them, someone they can trust. Authentic leadership inspires loyalty, whereas perfectionism creates pressure and unrealistic expectation. The same principle applies to personal relationships. People don't form deep connections with those who seem perfect. They connect with those who are open, honest, and real. Perfectionism can create a wall between individuals, making it difficult to form meaningful relationships. Authenticity, on the other hand, allows people to be seen for who they truly are and fosters genuine connections. Perfection is about seeking approval, while authenticity is about self-acceptance. Choosing authenticity over perfection means prioritizing inner fulfillment rather than external validation. It means embracing flaws, learning from mistakes, and living in alignment with personal values. When people stop striving to be perfect and instead focus on being true to themselves, they find greater confidence, deeper relationships, and a sense of freedom that perfectionism could never provide. The most influential leaders in history have never been the ones who aimed for perfection. They were not flawless, nor did they pretend to be. Instead, they were driven by a strong sense of purpose, a vision so powerful that it inspired people to follow them despite their imperfections. Leadership is not about appearing perfect. It is about having a clear why that motivates and unites people. A leader who is obsessed with perfection is often hesitant, rigid, and unwilling to take risks. They focus too much on avoiding mistakes rather than embracing challenges and opportunities. This perfectionist mindset can create fear within teams, discouraging creativity and innovation. When leaders demand perfection from themselves and those around them, they set unrealistic expectations that lead to frustration, burnout, and stagnation. In contrast, purpose-driven leaders inspire action by focusing on what truly matters: progress, impact, and shared vision. The best leaders understand that their role is not to be perfect, but to guide and empower others. They recognize that leadership is about creating a culture where people feel safe to contribute ideas, take risks, and learn from failure. A perfectionist leader may be overly critical, making people afraid to experiment or speak up. But a purpose-driven leader fosters an environment of trust, encouraging their team to grow, innovate, and push boundaries. The greatest leaders in history, figures like Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, and Nelson Mandela, none of them were perfect, but their purpose was clear. They led with conviction, inspiring millions to believe in a cause greater than themselves. Their influence did not come from being flawless, but from their ability to connect with people through shared values and a strong vision. The most successful leaders are not those who strive for perfection, but those who are driven by a clear mission. Steve Jobs was known for his intense passion for innovation, not for being perfect. He made mistakes, faced criticism, and even got fired from his own company, but his deep sense of purpose kept him moving forward. His vision for Apple to create revolutionary technology that enhances people's lives was what made him a legendary leader. Purpose-driven leadership also builds resilience. When leaders focus on perfection, every mistake feels like a failure. But when they focus on purpose, setbacks become lessons rather than roadblocks. A leader with a strong why understands that challenges are part of the journey and uses them as fuel to keep going. People don't follow leaders because they are perfect. They follow them because they believe in what they stand for. A leader's authenticity, passion, and commitment to their purpose are what truly inspire others. Perfection may create an illusion of competence, but purpose creates real impact. Leaders who prioritize their why over flawlessness foster trust, drive innovation, and create lasting change. In the end, leadership is not about being perfect. It is about having the courage to lead with purpose. One of the biggest obstacles people face in life is the fear of failure. This fear is often fueled by the belief that anything less than perfection is unacceptable. Many individuals hesitate to take action because they are afraid of making mistakes, looking foolish, or not meeting expectations. However, failure is not the enemy, inaction is. Those who wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect skills before starting something often never start at all. In contrast, those who prioritize action over perfection move forward, learn, and ultimately achieve success. Perfectionism creates paralysis. When someone believes that their work, their skills, or their plans must be flawless before they take the next step, they end up stuck in an endless cycle of overthinking and self-doubt. This mindset leads to procrastination, where the fear of making mistakes becomes greater than the desire to make progress. The truth is, no great achievement has ever come from waiting for perfection. The most successful people in any field are not those who never fail, but those who keep moving despite their failures. Entrepreneurs, artists, and innovators understand that action is the key to growth. Consider some of the world's most successful companies. Google, Amazon, and Facebook all started as small, imperfect ideas. Their founders did not wait until they had the perfect business model before launching. Instead, they took action, gathered feedback, adapted, and improved over time. If they had waited for perfection, they would never have built the global companies they are today. The same applies to creative work. No best-selling author writes a perfect first draft, and no musician creates a masterpiece on their first try. Success comes from taking action, refining through experience, and improving along the way. Taking action also builds confidence. When people step out of their comfort zones and start doing rather than waiting, they gain valuable experience and develop resilience. Even if they stumble along the way, each failure becomes a lesson that strengthens their ability to handle challenges. Confidence is not built through endless preparation. It is built through real-world practice and persistence. Fear of imperfection often prevents people from sharing their ideas, skills, and contributions with the world. But the reality is, progress is far more valuable than perfection. A product, idea, or project that is 80% complete and launched is more useful than one that is stuck at 99% and never released. Action leads to impact, while perfectionism leads to stagnation. Perfection is a myth, but action creates results. Those who focus on moving forward rather than getting everything exactly right are the ones who make a difference. Every great innovation, every major breakthrough, and every meaningful accomplishment started with someone who was willing to take imperfect action. Waiting for perfection means waiting forever. But taking action, even with uncertainty, leads to growth, learning, and success. The pursuit of perfection often leads to burnout, stress, and dissatisfaction because it is an impossible standard to maintain. Perfectionism sets unrealistic expectations, causing people to feel like they are never doing enough, never achieving enough, and never being enough. In contrast, fulfillment comes from pursuing something meaningful, something that aligns with one's values, passions, and purpose. When people shift their focus from being perfect to making an impact, They find deeper satisfaction in their work, relationships, and personal growth. Perfectionism is exhausting. It demands constant validation and creates a mindset where nothing is ever good enough. Even when an individual achieves a milestone, they may feel like they could have done better, pushing themselves to an endless cycle of dissatisfaction. This prevents them from celebrating progress and appreciating their achievements. Instead of feeling proud of their hard work, they focus on what could have been improved. Over time, this leads to chronic stress and even mental and emotional exhaustion. When people focus on purpose and impact, they experience a greater sense of fulfillment. They no longer measure success by how flawless something appears, but by the difference they are making. Teachers who focus on inspiring students rather than delivering perfect lessons find joy in their work. Entrepreneurs who focus on solving problems rather than building a perfect company stay motivated even during setbacks. Artists who create for self-expression rather than for flawless execution find deeper satisfaction in their craft. Fulfillment comes from growth, learning, and contribution. People who embrace progress over perfection are more willing to take risks, step out of their comfort zones, and embrace new challenges. They understand that true success is not about being the best, but about constantly improving and making a difference. This mindset leads to a greater sense of purpose, allowing individuals to enjoy the journey rather than obsess over an unattainable ideal. A powerful example of this is seen in the medical field. Doctors and researchers working on groundbreaking treatments do not wait for perfection before taking action. If they did, life-saving medicines and procedures would never reach those in need. Instead, they prioritize progress, learning from each attempt, refining their approach, and ultimately improving lives. Their fulfillment comes not from flawless execution, but from the impact they create. This principle also applies to personal well-being. People who strive for a perfect body, a perfect career, or a perfect relationship often feel constantly inadequate. But those who focus on improving their health, growing in their careers, and nurturing meaningful relationships find greater joy in life. They understand that fulfillment is not found in perfection, but in purpose, passion, and progress. Perfection is an illusion that drains energy and limits growth, while purpose fuels motivation and lasting happiness. Those who let go of perfectionism and embrace impact-driven goals find deeper meaning in their work and life. They experience true fulfillment, not because everything is flawless, but because they are making a difference in ways that truly matter. Perfection is an illusion that keeps people trapped in fear, self-doubt, and endless dissatisfaction. It creates unrealistic expectations, discourages action, and limits growth. In contrast, purpose fuels progress, resilience, and fulfillment. When individuals shift their mindset from chasing flawlessness to making an impact, they unlock their true potential. They take bold steps forward, embrace mistakes as learning opportunities, and find joy in progress rather than unattainable ideals. The most successful leaders, innovators, and changemakers are not those who strive for perfection, but those who are driven by a meaningful why. True success is not about being flawless. It is about being purposeful. It is about showing up, taking action, and making a difference, no matter how imperfect the process may be. When people pursue purpose over perfection, they find deeper confidence, stronger connections, and a lasting sense of fulfillment. The choice is clear: let go of perfection and embrace purpose, because in the end, impact matters far more than illusion.